I believe the Steelers should embrace being a meme. And just like last year, we'll start out with great momentum and hype only to shit itself and implode faster than you can say 11-0. They can't just bow up with a whimper. This is potentially Ben's last ride. Sure, logic should have told him to retire after last season's ugly freefall, but he's got tens of millions of dollars he's owed. Cater the offense to his declining abilities. I give him credit for trying to secure the bag. And the same goes for TJ Watt. It's almost time for him to get paid the big bucks. Whether that's in Pittsburgh or elsewhere is irrelevant to the matter. Hopefully it's here, but the Steelers thank the Lord for loopholes and deferred contracts. The defense has been reinforced with Melvin Ingram and Joe Schobert, but the offense still has plenty of questions. How does the offensive line fare after a major overhaul? Suddenly cutting David DeCastro due to injuries just leaves me questioning their moves in the offseason to go for broke. I'll be optimistic this time. They won't randomly implode until week 14 this time around. And Juju will still flex on social media as the world burns around him. The AFC seems to be top-heavy again, but there's a ton of competition in the middle, and that's where the intrigue will come into play. The divisions seem relatively cut and dry. Buffalo wins the AFC East, Cleveland gets the AFC North, Tennessee claims the AFC South, and Kansas City locks up the AFC West. But for wildcards, there's an argument to be made for many teams. For the three I'm choosing, I'm going with Baltimore, Miami, and the Chargers. It was very tough to pick anyone who stands out in that regard. So I'm hoping for a really exciting AFC this season. I have a gut feeling another 10-win team isn't going to make the playoffs again. Buffalo, I need you to report to the principal's office after class. Can you please explain to the rest of us what the fuck that was supposed to be? The Bills were favorites to win. They had dominated nearly every trackable metric. Buffalo had clamped down on a geriatric offense and suspect line in the first half. But, boys, you're supposed to celebrate with the bubbly after the game, not at halftime. The Steelers' pass rush was relentless, so apparently the coaching staff needs to gut everything and try to overthink their opponent. And what better example of it than on this 4th and 1? They call an RPO where they flip the ball to a runner 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Of course nobody's gonna get fooled on that. We're not an idiocracy yet. Pittsburgh had no right to be in this game, yet they just had to stand there while the Bills outcoached themselves. They flat out imploded, and it's a game they might regret down the line. Steelers, you stole this one. Now take this detention slip and get the fuck out of my face. You may have noticed one of the stars of this game for Pittsburgh was TJ Watt. Pretty easy to see. He's one of the best edge rushers in football right now, but he needed to be paid. But the Steelers are incredibly stubborn with their extensions, and it forced negotiations to drag on for days. We feared the Steeler way would fuck this up, but they found it in their cold heart to cave to the edge rusher. TJ Watt is now the highest paid defender in football for the next 10 minutes. What I find more stunning isn't the contract, but that the Steelers paid guaranteed money. $80 million guaranteed? Am I following the same organization? They moved up their calendars to 2021? I'm surprised they did it. Maybe the same thing will happen with their philosophies in due time. Did Al Davis cast a hex on the Steelers before he died for all those AFC playoff losses in the 70s? I have no other reason to explain how the Raiders play Pittsburgh so well every time they play them. Okay, maybe it has something to do with all the injuries on defense, but Las Vegas was without most of their O-line and Josh Jacobs. They were banged up too, and they outplayed the Steelers on their own soil. Fight? What goddamn fight? Trey Turner spitting on a defender because of some unwritten bullshit? All that put the dagger in them was Henry Ruggs go fast because no TJ Watt equals no pass rush. You know what Pittsburgh was? A fan shitting himself and washing his pants in a stadium sink. Kids, if you're ever at that point, no reason to try and salvage anything, just go the fuck home. The Steelers should have taken that advice, but never say die. They're down 2 scores with 20 seconds left. Run another fucking pass play to pad the stats. And lose Deontay Johnson to injury. Well done, you fucking invalids. Well. Are you ready to admit that things are shitty in Yinzerland yet? There was much overconfidence about the Steelers. It's the Bengals, everyone said. It's in Pittsburgh. They'll crush them like Von Bell on Juju. Hilarious. The Steelers looked like pure shit. Cincy just had their way with them all game. This defense looks really damn suspect when it's without their pass rush. No Watt, Highsmith, or Tuitt will result in that. When you don't get any sacks against the Bengals O-line, it's time to panic. That should have been done long ago about Big Ben, but Artie II still thinks it's 2009. This offense is cooked. Using your first-round pick of a running back properly? Not allowing Ben to pass over 50 times a game? Throwing a fucking screen on a 4th and 10 down by 14 in the 4th? What the hell are they doing? Oh, it was a statement win, alright. For Cincy. They dominated the old bully that tormented them for years. And they did it with a shit-eating grin. Now back to our regularly scheduled ignorance in Pittsburgh. The grudge match of Super Bowl 45. Home in the heart of cheese country in Green Bay. Much hype was had. They must have not been paying attention to either team at all. The QBs have aged in mass contrast. Aaron Rodgers hasn't skipped a beat. He still moves around effectively in the pocket. He throws with precision. He'll look very nice in an NFC North Rivals uniform next season. Once we head on over to Captain Fat Fuck, all I'm hearing is how he lost weight and that makes him special for being an old man. He also lost any semblance of talent he had as well. I've been yelling to the clouds that this man should have been gone years ago. His decline was going to be hard and unforgiving. Look at these clips and tell me this man should be starting in the NFL. The only offensive drives he's pushing are ones where he's trying to relive his glory days picking up chicks at bars. A liability at QB is one thing, he can change up his playstyle to suit his fading skills. But he's not doing that. The Steelers still think it's Super Bowl 45. Short passes to wideouts who get fucking killed down the middle every play. Najee Harris being used as a glorified checkdown receiver where he gets fucking killed every play. The best blocker on the team is Ben's Twitter account. Yes, bitch to me about the offsides penalty on the field goal block before halftime. You're right, it was very goddamn borderline and a judgment call at best, but this team wasn't winning. Green Bay played an efficient game. Pittsburgh looked like ass. And that's why the Steelers are staring down the barrel of a probable desperation move. Except where it needs to be done because Ben is unfucking touchable on this roster for some reason. I swear Pittsburgh media wouldn't be out of place in North Korea. Art Rooney is this team's Kim Il-sung. Breaking news. Franchise people considered to be fraudulent by inflating their record has been revealed to be fraudulent. These last 2 weeks have proved it. Denver sucks. Teddy Checkdown is doing his best Joe Flacco impression. The defense allowed Big Ben to throw a deep pass. Steelers' suspect offensive line looks strong. And Najee Harris ran wild all across Heinz Field for the first time in his career. What is this play calling from Denver? What is this game plan? What is performing in clutch situations? The black and gold play to a form we haven't seen in a bit. Playoff contenders. Ben is on life support from about 15,000 injuries, but he's somehow still alive. He's a goddamn zombie. Feel bad for his wife, he will never go down. But fortunately for Denver, the offense finally got its shit together in the fourth quarter. This shouldn't be anywhere close to a game, yet the Broncos are pushing. Pittsburgh's offense is battered by injuries, a perfect time to strike. But even then, I don't know how, but Denver has a chance to tie it in the red zone.
Oh, coming down to this, Bridgewater, intercepted!
How do you feel about this if you're Pittsburgh? Yeah, you won in the end, but at what cost? Those injuries they accrued are pretty crucial if they're long-term. I guess they will take the win. At least they don't have Pat Shurmur calling plays. This is old school football at its finest. Not really, it's more that both offenses are terrible and the defenses are carrying the brunt of the weight. How am I saying that about the Seahawks defense? I know Pittsburgh's is supposed to be good, but them? The Steelers are up by 14 at half though. Seattle's without Russell Wilson and harken back to the 2017 Packers without Aaron Rodgers. Then Pete Carroll yelled at them in the locker room and threatened to play an endless loop of Jordan Peterson podcasts. I think that may have been enough of a motivation for the offense to get its shit together. For whatever reason, Pittsburgh can't stop the running game. Can it just be like the Steelers where Najee has to do nearly everything to gain 4 yards? Apparently, Pittsburgh can no longer have easy games. As the Seahawks, under the guidance of Geno Smith, have tied the game. Dear God, kill us now. Cue more offensive utility until the Steelers have to drag the withered old horse for another final ride. It's ugly, but they're somehow being forced at gunpoint to move down the field. As Seattle drops an easy pick. Way to go, Jamal. I'm the best in the nation! Yeah, in your dreams, you fucking useless ass box safety. Now Pittsburgh gets to kick a field goal to retake the lead. But then, a miracle happened. Geno Smith channeled his days at West Virginia and guided Seattle down the field. And now it's going to... Oh no, DK, what are you doing? Just get the fuck out of bounds! Thank God it didn't cost them, but I'd think about that before dissing Shannon Sharp on Twitter. Jason Myers, now is your chance. This game is going to overtime. Motherfuck. With neither offense being unable to do anything, we're in for a ride. Both teams trade stalled offensive drives, but wait. Do I hear a sound in the distance?
Here I come to save the day.
TJ Watt, you fucking legend. I don't care that Watt already got paid. I demand you pay him more. Give him all of the money. Build him endless statues down North Shore Drive. He's the only reason Pittsburgh won. They're 3-3, let the false hope consume me whole. So a situation happened with the Steelers game that's pretty infuriating. In the fourth quarter, Darrell Taylor suffered a dangerously serious injury that stopped play for a while. Thankfully, he's able to move his extremities and flew back with the team, so it's not worst case scenario. But it's what the fans in the stadium did. Were doing the fucking wave as he was lying on the ground. They didn't stop until the cart came out. Sure, you didn't know what was happening. I don't think both teams huddle around the 50 in the fourth quarter for no reason. Dude may have broken his fucking neck and the first response is to do the wave out of boredom? Fuck it, the people at that stadium doing that are also lolcow of the week. Best fan base in football, my ass. What you are seeing in front of your eyes are countless stale narratives emerging from their graves to terrorize us all. Was this game great defense or some of the most inane play calling imaginable? You can decide that. The Browns can get Baker back all they desire, but it will not save them from the agonizing pain of a brutally disappointing season. Begin the first old narrative reforming. The Steelers considering Cleveland their second home. Dominance on the level we haven't seen since England lording over the Irish for centuries. Maybe the Browns have a potato famine since we begin the second narrative. The Steelers are playing ugly. It can never be convincing. Tied at 3 with a chance at the lead before half? Why fake the field goal and get your kicker Chris Boswell killed? Now he's out for the game. Well done, Pittsburgh. You played yourself since you get ball at half. Even with this good fortune, reach the third narrative. The Browns looking a great situation in the face and pissing it away. Can the defense make a stop? No. Can the offense make clutch plays? Yeah, maybe if their receivers can catch something besides an injury. Overcome the stereotype that they can't beat the Steelers at home? Well, doctor, I'm sorry, but I fear the bullshit is going to keep rolling right along. Can Cleveland regain the lead with all the momentum in the world? Oh, you poor summer child, it's the winter of fumbles and discontent. Jarvis Landry needs hot tar to be able to hold on to the goddamn ball these days. And with that, we conclude the grandest narrative of all. The Factory of Sadness. It's returning with far more injuries than one can comprehend. A gloriously winnable game ripped out of their own hands by themselves. Pittsburgh was gifted a win they didn't really deserve and look incredibly unimpressive without being bailed out for their idiocy. You know my conclusion from this? Steelers gained a Super Bowl. Steelers gained a Super Bowl. You hear me, bitches? The Steelers have gained the Super Bowl! This was one of the most heinous displays of ref ball I've seen in years. As a fan of the game of football, the sport was delivered a massive black eye due to a level of rigging that would put third world dictatorships to shame. Normally, the Chicago Bears and Pittsburgh Steelers would engage in a contest that would be seen as legitimate, but this was before everything fell to shit in a handbasket. Early on, there were some borderline decisions made, but nothing too out of the ordinary. Pittsburgh had a sizable lead, and the Bears had a sizable handicap called Matt Nagy on them. But then we get to the second half, and the bullshit commences. Chicago somehow manages to do this thing called offense. I know it's shocking to me as well. Justin Fields is flashing his talent and throws a touchdown to Jimmy Graham, who's somehow still a thing. But hold on a second, the refs have money on the Steelers, obviously. This is apparently a low block even though they barely touch Watt and it's in the line box itself, so it should be legal. Did you expect Fields to get calls that every other QB gets? No, he's used to getting killed, right? Zebras are Giants fans too, you know, they want that high draft pick. 4 points are shaved off the score. Somehow both of these teams aren't being absolute garbage on the offensive side of the ball. And I guess they can let the Bears score points for once. Fine, they need to keep the game close to ward off suspicions. Pittsburgh gets the ball back and Deontay Johnson is pushing off the Bears defender? This is obviously defensive pass interference. No, there's no favoritism here. The NFL just hates defenses. It just conveniently allowed the Steelers to gain 3 extra points off of it. The Bears are still fucking up everything in sight, so it shouldn't be much of a problem. Pittsburgh just needs to field this punt cleanly and... oh boy. This is gonna be controversial, isn't it? He's losing control of the ball before he hit the ground. Damn it, I wanted peace! The refs will make it up to Pittsburgh, though. Pittsburgh gets it back and... oh no, not a sack on third down! They need something to tack on Chicago quick!
He's just standing there, menacingly.
Are you fucking kidding me? This is taunting? How the hell is this a penalty? He's just looking at the goddamn sideline and didn't say anything. Are we seriously in a state of the league where defenders are punished by simply staring in a certain direction for a few seconds? If you want to penalize something, how about a fine for the ref that channeled Chris Pronger and fucking hip-checked the defender as he went to throw the flag? Add 3 more incredibly undeserved points for Pittsburgh that could just as well be called hanging chads. Even then, Chicago is witnessing the talent that was advertised of Justin Fields at the draft. They need to beat both the Steelers and the refs today. And they're so close to doing so. They score a touchdown to take the lead, even after all the rigging. A horrible day. Thank God that Robert Quinn has been bought because he keeps lining up in the neutral zone. If you're hearing this, Robert, the check will be in the mail tomorrow. The Steelers kick a field goal and false hope consumes me whole. What a goddamn travesty of a game. If I'm Matt Nagy, I'm going scorched earth on this bullshit since I'm probably getting fired soon. The Chicago Bears should have won this game. They had it stolen from them. As a fan of football itself, I'm infuriated. The match is tainted with the stench of bullshit, and absolutely nothing's going to be done about it. I am really starting to hate this league. See you next week. Heinz Field, a place where magic has happened. Both in terms of fantastic victory and hilarious hijinks, this hallowed ground has brought us some of the most majestic football our eyes have seen. For a nondescript Sunday game, there is much on the line for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've won incredibly ugly this season, with a combination of insane luck, weak opponents that have somehow stayed in games until the end, and bribing officials to gift them a win against Chicago. Life is good. We all know the conclusion to this season. The Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. Do not deny it. Yinzer arrogance will consume you all, and you will enjoy every second of it. Especially as their opponent is the Detroit Lions, one of the worst teams in terms of talent thrown out onto a field in recent memory. On the opposite side of the spectrum, they've had terrible fortune with their losses this year, coming up short in a furious comeback against San Francisco, losing on a literal kick of God from Justin Tucker, falling apart on a final drive and losing by field goal to the Vikings. The Vikings. Detroit is so miserable that they probably ended up losing to the bye week by multiple scores. Good lord, this is a team that needs their first win badly. Dan Campbell is a likable folk hero, he of biting kneecaps, endless grit, and crying for his team during press conferences. Not that it matters, since destiny awaits. It's expected that the Steelers dominate on their way to... Why the hell are you fading to black? I was told the new guy would know how to cut video. Do us all a favor and put the game back up on the... No! Stop playing that goddamn music. I said I was done with that shit. There's no fucking drama surrounding this team. Playing it louder isn't going to do anything. Tonight, on Why Is This Still a Thing? The Black and Gold Brigade suffers an infection that takes out the heart of the team. This season, foolish or not, is for Big Ben. His withered corpse will be carried to a Super Bowl come hell or high water. We all know that Ben doesn't like taking no for an answer. Unfortunately for him, Corona Chan also doesn't like hearing that word either. Roethlisberger will be out against Detroit due to COVID protocols. It's a loss for a team that's had trouble producing on the offensive side of the ball, even if he's nowhere near what he was in his prime. As the leader of many took it upon himself to self-report his own symptoms. A true American hero. Now Steeler Nation groans at the prospect of having to see Mason Rudolph, the 2-pick quarterback, again. He's not much of a downgrade from what they have, but don't tell Steelers fans that. It's the thought that counts. Can I stop with the shitty voice yet? Please? Good. Starting the game, you know something's up. The opening snap is mishandled and somehow thrown for a completion. As I'm getting flashbacks to the wildcard game, Pittsburgh does what many somehow did not expect them to do without old man Ben under center. Score a touchdown. To all of our surprise, James Washington still exists. The joy and jubilation of Yinzers commences as they will be going to the Super Bowl. A glorious poaching of Lions is expected on this miserable day near the Three Rivers. If only the game had stopped there. I think everyone outside of sick fucks would agree with that statement. Every fan in attendance now wants not Captain Fat Fuck Dead for lobbing a pass right to the defender. He's at least better than Jared Goff, who decided to go back to 2016 form and can't throw a football. He literally can't. He's injured and limited in ability as a result. May God bless the greatest Steeler to ever live, Presley Harvin. Absolute fucking unit. I wonder if he can play middle linebacker for Pittsburgh. Good in pursuit and open field tackling, couldn't be much worse than some of their depth options. and maybe some of their starters. Detroit gashed the run defense for a long touchdown. In typical Lions fashion, Jamar Jefferson couldn't even celebrate this occasion. He got injured on the damn play. Tie game. But the Black and Gold Brigade has a response. They push down the field again because Detroit is merely a mirage resembling a football team, and Najee Harris rumbles for a touchdown. Shit, holding on the offense. Who knew that going cheap on the offensive line would cost in other ways? The passing attack can't get them to the end zone, and play calling gets conservative. A field goal gets them back to the lead. I would thank God himself, but the Detroit Lions offense is still bursting through the Steelers defense by means of the rushing attack. I will, however, thank God that the Lions don't have a real quarterback and can't seal the deal at the goal line. The computer-generated kicker nails a chip shot and we're tied at 10 at half. The hapless Lions are getting the ball at half, but this shouldn't be a problem. All the defense has to do is... no comment. Apparently, no one on the bonded Steeler D can tackle. The inevitable is here. You know it with 5 words that pierce my soul. Playing down to their competition. At this point, I've come to expect it. This has been a tradition of the Steelers going back to the days of Cowher and Knoll. It's bred into Yinzer DNA. Why do you think most of us live here? Because we've accepted playing down to everything in life. But this is something special. A team without much in terms of talent is keeping pace with a supposed Super Bowl contender. This is more than no bend. Lacking him means not using your first-round running back at the goal line on 3 tries. The deficit is only 3, but this game says a lot about both Detroit's resolve and the Steelers' flaws. People are running through walls for Dan Campbell, and this effort is showing it in spades. Welcome to football hell, where the standard of terrible play is the standard. Detroit is playing hard, but their fans will be miserable due to acquired perks in the early game. But we need one more spark to make this truly miserable. Oh God, TJ Watt? That's the last person the Steelers can afford to lose. Everyone in a 50-mile radius is now rightfully shitting themselves. Myself as well. You'd be knocked out of the game and will probably miss some time, but it's fortunately not the worst-case scenario. Praise be our Lord and Savior, TJ Watt. Even then, it's a blow to this game and the defense in general. They at least have Najee Harris doing everything on offense to at least get them in field goal range to tie the game. I can only hope that the media isn't lying about Najee sleeping on floors again. But now we begin the true greatness. The football gods desire terror and anguish to be stricken on the football-watching populace. Ref ball with a flop that would make Neymar cringe. 4th down conversions by Detroit at their own 30 to punt on the next set of downs because they have no passing game. Oh, mama, I've been fearing for my life from the long arm of terrible football. Overtime has put an end to my running, and I need to throw it 50 times in this game because Steelers. No one is happy. Yinzers want Mason Rudolph dead for reasons of not being banned. Detroit just wants the pain to end. All that matters is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to the Super Bowl, baby! Look at Deontay Johnson! Go, you beautiful bastard, and run for... God! Fucking... Damn it! Woman, you have lied to me! My kingdom for a man that can hold onto the ball longer than a loaf of bread.
Intercepted!
Yes, an interception, my Minko. We're free for... defensive holding. Devin Bush, what the hell happened to you? Where's your game-changing ability? This is trash to your performance, man. You're better than this, boys. Come on! Oh, I forgot. Breathing on a quarterback these days is considered to be roughing the passer. This rule is fucking terrible and inconsistently enforced, but the NFL won't get rid of it because they'll pretend that it prevents concussions. So now Detroit's in field goal range. And all I ask is, how do they fuck this up?
The kick.
Look, I know Heinz Field is a terrible place to kick, but that kind of miss will get you cut from college teams. If this guy were a League of Legends player, he'd be bronze 5. If Detroit is a kicker, this game is already over, but once again, the Lions can't have nice things because of Bobby Lane having an old grudge. I wish the Steelers could do something with these opportunities, but they can't because what's the point of snapping a ball properly? The spirit of Marquise Pouncey is in Kendrick Green today, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Here's a near interception because nobody has hands and Mason slightly overthrew the ball. Nobody deserves to win this shitfest. It's an on-field abortion. And I only hope Bane has rigged the field with explosives to put us all out of our misery. But if there's a pastime the Steelers love more than anything, it's being bailed out of their incompetence by talent. I can feel the hope swelling in me now. Mason is moving the ball effectively. They're almost in field goal range. Another incredibly ugly win on their way to the Super Bowl. Hey, a win's a win, right? I can hear the music now. Here I come to save the... No! Oh, of course they fumble there, because everything is... Mother... Nothing warms my Yinzer heart more than watching Steelers fans flood into the Chargers' home stadium and waving those terrible towels. Sadly for those poor bastards, there isn't much to cheer about in this game. The Black and Gold Brigade is without nearly all of their defensive playmakers, and they're being picked apart by LA in this glamorous terrain. The Steelers have no answers for Justin Herbert. None. The offense couldn't afford to make mistakes either, but a terrible call on a 4th and goal might have truly sealed their fate. It's another rout headed into the 4th quarter as Pittsburgh has a 17-point deficit. Just get it over with, Chargers. Put this team out of its misery and we can all go to bed.
That's exactly what the Steelers needed.
Perhaps someday the Chargers can figure out this thing called special teams. Maybe they can stop shooting themselves in the cock with bad penalties at the goal line. But LA is still rolling along, and absolutely no one can stop Justin Herbert on the run besides Cam Hayward a little too aggressively. Pittsburgh is still down by 14 and struggling to keep Ben upright. But thankfully on a 3rd and 5, they do get some of that glorious high-end talent by means of Deontay Johnson. The Charger defense is starting to break down, which is great, but they're still down by 1 score late. The Steelers are going to need a 10th miracle to go their way.
Look out. And that is here I come to save the day.
Oh my god, it's happening. I thought it was being hyperbolic, but in fact it was the holiest of gospels. The Pittsburgh Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. Do you see what is happening right now? The Chargers are bringing their San Diego ways to the rampant Steelers fans in attendance. I don't know how the fuck they're tied, but I'm not gonna complain. We're not the Cleveland Browns, LA. You can't go for it on 4th down at your 30 and expect to survive. The Steeler offense doesn't have to do much, but it's enough. Pittsburgh has the lead. False hope is becoming reality. Look out, NFL! Nobody's stopping these fuckers now!
Herbert fires open, making the grab. Mike runs down the sideline. Steps his way in for the touchdown.
Are you fucking shitting me? You make that furious and unprecedented comeback only to lay an egg on defense? Fuck. I don't know how the hell that was a game. The Steelers should have lost by at least 2 scores, but the gods demanded anarchy. The Chargers nearly snagged defeat from the jaws of victory, but it doesn't matter. The Steelers are still going to the Super Bowl. This match proved it. Tonight, on meaningless fan service, the Black and Gold Brigade enters as close to a must-win situation as a midseason game can be. Against the kid they used to bully, the Steelers head to their grounds and... Oh my god! What the hell is this? Cincinnati beat the ever-loving fuck out of Pittsburgh. Absolute annihilation. Is this what a handing of the baton feels like? Because the Bengals hunted down their old tormentor and skinned him alive. This game was over by half, and I'm not even joking about that. Ben is a mess, the offensive line is a cheap knockoff, Najee can do nothing in the defense. The unit that was supposed to be good? Cincy shit all over it like it was chili. The only good part about the game for Pittsburgh was that it ended. As Cincy teabags them at the 50-yard line, the Steelers will be taking the Escalooser back home to prepare for Baltimore. Back home, this dedicated Yinzer also succumbed to a malignant case of the Steelers and took the Escalooser to his grave. Only in a way that Yinzers can envision their burial. As we hope this isn't the unofficial end of their season, so continues the days of our Steelers. Fuck, I said this was over with. Classic rivalry game. When Ravens and Steelers meet, you know you're getting a hard-fought clash of trench warfare and open field scrums. This is peak AFC North football. As ugly and as scrappy as you could expect such an affair to be. Pittsburgh is desperate after being annihilated by Cincinnati, and this is as must-win for them as it's going to get. Thank the gods that they paid off the coronavirus to clear TJ Watt from COVID protocol early. He will be a relentless shit-wrecker all game, but things are painful on the offensive front. The Ravens are trying to squeeze the life out of their rival by any means necessary. By merely holding Pittsburgh to 3 points through 3 quarters, you believe that the Steelers' season was all but finished. But this is potentially the last ride of Captain Fatfuck. The leader of men will not go down with a whimper. You have to force him to settle out of court. In what may be the last rally of his storied career, Big Ben throws with a precision we haven't seen in years. With a stout defense complementing, the Black and Gold Brigade takes a 7-point lead with less than 2 minutes left. Lamar Jackson has had a very rough game to this point forward. Miami laid down the blueprint on how to stop him, but it can all be forgotten with one drive. He's had endless pressure on him and has been sacked 7 times due to bad matchups. Then again, if anyone can pull a win out of his ass, it's him.
Lamar Jackson, you got people over the middle of the field. Take your time and throw to him. He's got protection. Got all kinds of time. He throws, and Watkins has it.
That's the magic of Lamar. But the Ravens know what they need to do. Go for the kill. And they need to do it fast.
The game hinges on one play. Jackson flings it. Andrews can't get to it. Could not reel it in. Incomplete.
Yinzer Shaman's counter with Heinz ketchup. So why go for 2 when you could have tied it and go to overtime? That's simple. The Ravens were nearly out of cornerbacks. Going further might have been a death sentence either way, but by God, did they grasp defeat out of the jaws of victory with this game or what? A gutsy as hell performance by Pittsburgh has rewarded them to give their season new life. Baltimore may have been the number 1 seed, but they certainly haven't been playing like one all season. This game was more proof of how I smell a rat. Have fun being a one and done in the playoffs. If you could even get there. I don't blame you whatsoever if you're a Vikings fan and want to burn everything to the fucking ground after this one. This matchup encompassed every single goddamn thing that's wrong with the Minnesota Vikings this season. It's a checklist. Let's talk about the first half. When Pittsburgh wasn't just caught with their pants down, Minnesota was raw-dogging them behind the stadium. This is some of the worst defense I've seen out of the Steelers in decades. Dalvin Cook was running against a Pop Warner unit with some of the massive holes he had. Even the guy who did Goatsy is envious at how gaping this defense is. If Kirk Cousins could throw accurately and Justin Jefferson could catch, this would be even worse than it already is. I'm not even happy for them. This is the potential that the Vikings have. And I'm furious as an outsider looking in because they've rarely shown this kind of ability throughout the year. Oh, if only that were the extent to how Minnesota would want to channel their ancestors' love of pillaging the English coastline, this wouldn't be a thing. You would believe that a 29-0 lead would be more than enough to kill off any team's ambition, but you don't know what the hell both these teams are about. I keep the Vikings away from horny old men because they will try and blow every damn thing they can. The sheer amounts of bullshit and what the fuckery is a Pittsburgh specialty as well. They shouldn't be anywhere near competitive in this game. Yet Ben suddenly reverts to prime form, the line blocks efficiently, and the defense suddenly clamps down like we're back to the LeBeau years. It's the worst case scenario for both teams. Neither wants to truly win, but they'll pretend that it's close either due to the NFL's rigging or random implosions by both squads. Clutch play after clutch play is somehow being made as Pittsburgh is roaring back with a fury that we haven't seen since last week. And Vikings fans are fearing the inevitable. And the predictable. As the Steelers are driving to tie in the waning seconds, I ask one question. How the fuck is this even a game?
End zone. Incomplete. Vikings win it.
Of course, it isn't the goddamn Pittsburgh Steelers to bring all hope back only to drop it in triple coverage on the final play. I don't give a fuck if the Vikings won. I still want Mike Zimmer burned at the stake for this shit. In no way should this have been close. How was this pure Vikings yet pure Steelers at the same time? We need to talk about Chase Claypool. Nothing good ever comes out of Notre Dame. And Mapletron is becoming another frustrating element to a team that's been ripe with drama for years. Now, seeing a wideout so goddamn self-centered and ignorant of situations isn't uncommon. But from a guy who hasn't put up the production to come close to justifying it? This isn't anything new. This has been happening for a while. Think to a few weeks ago when multiple players were criticizing the team's practice habits. So what was Chase's solution to this problem? To play music during practice. Dude, way to not read the room. That's Chase these days. From bitch moves on unsuspecting defenders to getting benched for his antics, it's becoming repetitive. The piece de resistance, though, was deep in the fourth quarter. Dude's out here celebrating a 7-yard gain on 4th down as if it means a fucking thing. There's 30 seconds left. The Steelers have no timeouts, and you're flexing when the team's trying to spike the ball? And then you're throwing a guard under the bus for trying to show urgency? This kind of self-centered bullshit is becoming Claypool's specialty. And it may have cost Pittsburgh a chance to tie in the end. Lol cow of the week? Never heard of her. I'll play the music louder for you next time, you fucking bum. We can all agree this year has been insanely fucked for the NFL. Most games like the last one we recap feel like they're on some kind of drug cocktail. It's exhausting to follow this league some weeks. The only benefit is in memes fresh out of the oven. You thought it couldn't get worse. An old friend has reemerged onto the scene. Corona-chan is back from her lengthy vacation and wreaking havoc on every sports league throughout America. The NFL has felt her wrath hard. You may have noticed all the coughing last week. It was for good reason. Over 150 cases in the league over a 5-day span. It's not Pokemon to catch. Coronavirus is running a train throughout multiple organizations. Cleveland and the Rams have over 25 players in COVID protocol. Washington has over 20. Other teams like the Bears, Texans, and Lions are getting wrecked as well. 8 teams are in enhanced COVID protocols. This is the worst case scenario we were fearing last season, and we're seeing it happen in front of our eyes. The NFLPA pleaded with the league for games to be postponed, but of course they waited until the last moment. In a shocker, the Shield cared more about game integrity than cold hard cash. The Saturday Browns and Raiders tilt has been pushed to Monday. Seahawks versus Rams and Reskins versus Eagles have been rescheduled for Tuesday. We have it again in doubleheader form, boys! Tuesday night football! Any chance we can get a Wednesday night game? For all the glorious memes? Pittsburgh has been so full of bullshit in every fucking game of theirs that I firmly believe that the NFL has money on them making it to the playoffs. With how poorly they played and managed the clock in the first half, you'd have believed that Tennessee would have cruised to a win here. The Titans are looking at that #1 seed and salivating at the opportunity. It's 13-3 at halftime and the Steelers have next to no life. But if you don't believe there's massive shenanigans afoot in the second half, then you're the mistaken one. To prove my reasoning, let's flash back to before the game. Up, look right there! The Titans are sullying the midfield logo before the game. Did you not learn a damn thing from the Raiders last week, Tennessee? Only horrible things can happen after such pregame arrogance. The punishment for such hubris and lack of foresight will be relentless and swift. After they leave the locker room, the Titans seemingly forget how to play football. Over the next 30 minutes, everyone witnessed one of the most spectacular collapses we've seen this season. 3 turnovers in 10 fucking plays. Do you think a team deserves to win with such self-destruction? Hell no, the Steelers are just gonna stand there and take what they can while Tennessee spills fucking everything. Literally everything. I don't care if the Titans are injured as shit, this kind of implosion is completely unacceptable. They're beating themselves. And despite every metric showing that they should be winning, all they can do is try to do what they haven't done all half and score points. Tennessee is hoping to generate some semblance of false hope. But we all know who the real kings of doing that are.
Hang on to the ball for a second and try and find someone over the middle. Here comes the rush. Here's the throw. Oh, a tackle by Joe Hayden.
1 yard short. How I missed that glorious meme. This game said a hell of a lot more about the Titans than it did the Steelers. Pittsburgh shouldn't be anywhere near a playoff spot since they have severe holes throughout the lineup, but I don't fucking care. The Steelers are going to the goddamn Super Bowl! All of these miracles don't pop up without divine intervention! This is a team of destiny! They are going to the Super Bowl, and I will hear no counter-arguments! My case is concrete! The hope of this city will go streaking down the strip while terrible fucking towels fly us apart! What you're seeing is what happens to the Pittsburgh Steelers when they aren't aided by ref ball, incredible amounts of bullshit, or high-end talent. Fucking slaughter. The Chiefs had won 7 games in a row before this point and showed no signs of slowing down against the frauds in front of them. Kansas City was a machine in all 3 facets of play. An unstoppable offense complementing an elite defense buoyed by strong special teams play. This wasn't just a win for the Chiefs. It was a goddamn clinic. Without Travis Kelce, I might add. Pittsburgh, in a game they needed, simply lied down and died. Their play calling was bonkers. Flea flickers when the running game is running into a brick wall? Halfback sweeps on a 4th and 1 at your own 30? Are we watching the same game, or are the Steelers so arrogant that they think they can pull it off? Either way, Kansas City turned this into such a laugher that the CBS wing of the Steelers propaganda department switched out of this game early in the 4th quarter. Tonight, on Please Let This Zombie Die, the Steelers prepare for the potential of life without a longtime cast member. As they lick their wounds after a bludgeoning by the Kansas City Chiefs, which may have all but ended their playoff hopes, there is another situation brewing. The future of Big Ben. There is no doubt that he's in the twilight of his career. Many signs point to this season being his last with the Black and Gold Brigade. His body is breaking down on him. His skills have atrophied to the point where he's a glorified statue in the pocket. He'll be a free agent at the end of the season. Ben's year has shown us why he should have retired a season or 2 ago. Most of his performances have been depressing. He's a hollow shell of his former self. who will show flashes of his old brilliance but mostly sputters on 3-yard crossing routes and screen passes. He has to be carried to wins like he did on his own as a young buck. Most of Yinzerland still thinks he's in his glory years, but the writing is on the wall. It's time. Captain Fatfuck is going for his last ride. This next match will more than likely be his final home game at Heinz Field. It's fitting that a lot may change after this year. Heinz's naming rights to the stadium expire soon. GM Kevin Colbert has been rumored for retirement, especially given his penchant for taking 1-year contracts. The Steelers will have to rip the Band-Aid off from the cruel realities of the state of their team. But for 1 week, all those facts will be forgotten. This next game will be the chance for Yinzers to pay tribute to their legendary general. It's something that Terry Bradshaw could not have. The opportunity to say goodbye. It's weird to me. Heading into this season, I was just hoping for the Big Ben era to come to an end. I've been very public in stating that they should have cut ties with him after last season. Unfortunately, you see why with his performances. I thought I would feel relief when things were done, but now that the time is finally upon us, it's complicated. He leaves a conflicting legacy. His years were full of off-field fuck-ups and self-indulgence. Motorcycle accidents, rape allegations, being a colossal piece of shit in the restaurant industry, throwing players under the bus for his own mistakes, holding the team back in his final years. It's always been about him, and he's wielded way too much power on the team and the offense. Those are all true, but this next statement is as well. He has been the best quarterback I have seen, and I may possibly ever see, on the Steelers in my lifetime. When you look back at highlights of Ben in his prime, he was a special player. His ability to create plays out of chaos, his maneuverability and range in the pocket, allowing the receivers to create space for themselves. These are what I think of when I think of on-field Big Ben. I think shoestring tackles to save games against Indianapolis. I think precision throws to the corner of the end zone in Super Bowls. His influence will remain constant with the black and gold. And he will be donning a gold jacket in his future. A career that started in Ohio will finish there. A little bit east of where he played as a kid, but it was one he probably dreamed of. How fitting is it that this next match will be against a team he's had incredible success against? Cleveland, a home where he currently holds the record for most wins by a quarterback since their renewal. A team that has constantly been tortured by Ben's incredible abilities. The Browns franchise expected to solidify their claim as the division's keystone, but fell victim to incredible disappointments. It's also perfect for revenge. The last time these two met at Heinz, we do not talk about that day. Anyone who has tried has been put to death for high treason. Rival teams drank the salty tears of Yinzers and called it champagne. But not anymore. The Browns have been officially eliminated from the playoffs the day prior, and will be the perfect prey for an old lion. In honor of this occasion, like Muhammad's trek from Mecca to Medina, Yinzers from far and wide will make pilgrimage to Heinz Field. In their zealous faith and love of the Steelers, they will pay tribute to their glorious leader and doted champion. They are going to show him how much they appreciate his 18 years of contributions to the franchise, both good and bad. Warts and all, he is one of them. So for the final time, to the roar of an eager crowd, the leader of men. The road to the playoffs may be all but impossible for Pittsburgh, but it's irrelevant tonight. Right now, at this very moment, at this point in history, this is their Super Bowl. The Black and Gold Brigade needs to send Ben out as a victor in his homeland. Against a nearly dead team, the Steelers played one of the more complete games of their season. The Browns had given up the moment they had stepped out of the locker room. For it was destiny. Pittsburgh was without a huge chunk of their linebacker core, and they still had little trouble against their flaccid offense. The main reason is because Baker Mayfield was paid a handsome fortune to take a dive in this important contest.
So you're saying he wasn't paid? He just sucks. That's honestly believable.
Jadeveon Clowney himself agrees with this sentiment. So the Steelers' drive has stalled out. Quickly, we can't get the Yinzers pissed. Throw a shoe and we'll pay you a bonus for it. There we go. Now Big Ben can be like 80-year-old men in a pickup football game. And reap the benefits. A 5-yard touchdown pass to Deontay Johnson. Everyone in Steeler Nation cheers as if they had just won their 7th Lombardi. And tonight they may as well have. The defense was completely suffocating. Whether that's because of the defense itself or how apathetic and lifeless Cleveland was is to be determined. Somebody hates Baker, They consistently had one-on-one coverage on TJ Watt with a backup tackle drafted in the 4th round this year. He had 4 sacks, and 8 more than Baker's dozen. Mayfield is now zoned out into another Progressive commercial, where he may save people on car insurance, but can't make a Progressive read on passing plays. Not with how he's getting killed for 9 sacks on the day. The Steeler offense may be doing little, but it doesn't feel like the lead is in any threat of being vanquished. Everything is going perfectly, and we will all see the legend of Big Ben conclude with an exclamation point. Oh my god, that's not what the script had! Goddamn assholes trying to one-up Ben in his perfectly choreographed finale. Excuse me for 1 second.
You fucking pieces of shit! Stop ruining that day! He is a fucking legal thing! You fucking goddamn sacks of pig shit! Do that again, I'm killing your family!
Captain Fatfuck's final day of glory will not be sullied by those that defy his leadership. During the game's broadcast and on the field, the whole day was such captivating propaganda that the Soviets are envious of the NFL's efficiency. Their gaslighting and spin of Big Ben as a wholesome family man, leader of men and woman respecter all year long is truly hilarious stuff. He may not have the skill of Kobe, but they're going to try their damnedest to let him go out like Kobe did in his final game at Staples Center, by throwing for an impeccable 123 yards passing, an 11.9 QBR, and 2.7 yards per attempt. This is not to be critical, however. This is a day of celebration for what he was, what he brought to the city, and what he will forever be. If nearly everything is going perfectly, and we will all see the legend of Big Ben conclude with an exclamation point.
Najee Harris to the end zone.
A symbolic passing of the baton. From Big Ben to Najee, the new focal point of the offense. He dominated on the ground, and will hopefully do so for years to come. May Steeler Nation reign on high over all those that doubt their might. Baker is so nice that he deliberately threw an interception just so the leader of men could have his last moment in the sun. He trots his broken body out to the field, goes behind center, and takes a knee. I can't tell if he's savoring the moment or having a hard time getting up, but this is as close to a storybook ending as one can get. A decisive victory. Endless praise lavished at your feet. A town that expresses their undying love. The cult of personality is so strong tonight that Comrade Stalin is impressed at its scale. Endless and unconditional adulation for a quarterback that brought them treasures not seen in decades. That is the way of the Yinzer. And every suitable woman within a 50-mile radius will gladly allow him to deflower them at any time for his contributions. And like Big Ben, they will not take no for an answer. The tears that flow today are not of salt, but of saccharin. A bittersweet farewell. I don't know what the future holds for the Steelers. They have to root for fucking Jacksonville to win to have any chance of making the playoffs. But as a Pittsburgh fan, you can't ask for anything more. The game wasn't perfect, but the night was. The fans showed their love for their quarterback, and he reciprocated it in kind. I know there's the thinking that he may play another year, but look in his eyes when he's talking. This is it. A career is coming to a close. I've been harsh on Ben in the past. Very harsh. There were some comments I feel I went too far in making looking back on them. Therefore, I'll reserve my judgments on him as a person and respect what he was as a player. The only thing I have to say for now, enjoy retirement, Ben. Take care of your family. Explore your passions in life. I have a feeling you'll be around in the future, for better or for worse. Dear God, this game feels like it was scripted. Now I'm expecting the villains and every hater to quietly clap from their perches and wipe a tear from their eyes as Ben looks up at them valiantly. Really sappy, over-the-top orchestral music playing as he looks back at his adventures and the people he met on the way. Oh, and the kids coming in. You especially have to have that in these kinds of scenes. Now all we have to do is have a sappy quote about redemption and we have the ending to It's a Wonderful Fucking Life. Oh shit, they even got the family to walk into the locker room with him. God damn, they nailed the movie ending motif down to a science. And cue credits. The final spots in the AFC still need to be decided as well. Pittsburgh and Baltimore are two absolutely terrible teams who shouldn't be anywhere near the playoffs. It's as ugly on the field as the rain pelting both teams today. It's painful to watch in any interpretation of the word. It's AFC North football. Steelers and Ravens taking the field with significant flaws on both sides. Pittsburgh has a trash offense and is getting bailed out by fluke wins and endless bullshit. Baltimore's problem is simple. They're the unanimous winners of this season's Injury Bowl. Very well earned indeed. The main differences in this game are easy to identify. The Ravens are making critical errors due to their legions of backups and practice squad players. The Steelers are simply a tortoise, going slow and steady hoping for the other team to fuck up. TJ Watt can tie the sack record, but that's all there's going to be so far. Baltimore may have the lead, but the high-end talent and incredible bullshit powers of Pittsburgh will save them from the horrors of an 8-1 Super Bowl. Both teams are trying their hardest to win, but don't have anywhere near the ability to do so. Justin Tucker is one of the few Ravens players left who are any good, so we will head to overtime. But they both need something to happen for hope to stay alive. They need to look to Jacksonville. God help us all.
I'm calling both games.
Indy. What the actual fuck was that? In a game that was being handed to them as an easy win, the Colts undertook one of the most spectacular chokes the NFL has seen in its history. It's one thing if it's a close game, you know, the whole any given Sunday motif. Indy hadn't won there since 2014, and Jacksonville has nothing to lose. But this wasn't even that. This was a colossal failure on all fronts. The defense defended against Trevor Lawrence as well as a parking cone against a car. Offensive play calling was awful. Jonathan Taylor could do nothing as we meet the real failure of the game. This performance will near single-handedly run Carson Wentz out of town. All he had to do was not fuck up, and he shit his pants so often he needed Huggies. If you exclude his garbage time touchdown drive, Carson Wentz went 8 for 20 for 100 yards passing, a pick, a fumble, and a quarterback rating of 35. Need I remind you, this is against the worst team in football this season. Their fans came dressed as fucking clowns due to how terribly run they are, and they still got blown out of the goddamn water. Indy prolapsed when it mattered the most, and I'd strongly consider firing everyone if I'm in charge. These kinds of losses are hard to recover from. This is completely unacceptable from a so-called playoff contender. Ballard and Wright tethered their boats to the ship of Wentz in the offseason, and if he sinks, he might take them down with him. They are easy candidates for lone cow of the week, especially when given the circumstances. I knew something was off about these fuckers in the middle of the year, and their failures were revealed at the worst possible time. You deserve to be a meme, Colts. Embrace it. Get the fuck out of my sight and take your broken quarterback with you.
If you get the opportunity, you should kill yourself.
Now we have something to play for here. Baltimore gets the ball in OT first, but they can do little against Steeler bullshit. Big Ben has nothing left in his body, but they're gonna carry this old bastard to another playoff run if he wants it or not. The Black and Gold Brigade is converting third downs because the Ravens are literally out of cornerbacks. But even then, it's not enough. They go bold on fourth down and save Ben from a badly underthrown ball thanks to Ray McLeod, thus setting up a chip shot to win the game and keep their false hopes alive.
Marvin will hold it, sweeps the leg, and that is a winner for Pittsburgh.
Steelers fucking suck. They barely scraped by against Baltimore's XFL affiliate. I'd be ashamed, but they managed to find ways to live, despite the fact that they should have been dead weeks ago. Conclusion, the AFC embraces the gods of chaos. The almighty coin has corrected its past mistake and fulfilled destiny. The Raiders and Steelers, two teams that shouldn't be anywhere near the dance, have made it thanks to separate deals with the devil himself. Just watch these two teams play each other in the AFC Championship. It'd be fitting for how fucked this year has been. This has been a season. So many twists and turns that it's hard to conceive with the naked eye. If you were looking at this year seriously, it was absolutely exhausting. But do you know the true bounty to cherish? The memes. It was fucking gold for this economy. Thanks to incredible collapses, fantastic comebacks, Urban Meyer's coaching tenure, and whatever the fuck Antonio Brown did in the Jets game. If the bigger games are going to be as fucked as the regular season is, I expect plenty of shenanigans to come in the future. Get ready. The NFL playoffs are about to begin. I legitimately have no fucking clue how they made it to the playoffs. This team sucks. Most of the games they've won are due to their opponents' self-destructing, fluke circumstances, incredible bullshit, or heinous ref ball. Before you start flinging shit at me, I'm dead serious. This team should not be here. Every new rule in the NFL has benefited the Steelers this season. Pittsburgh will not fucking die. They're begging for death as they wander the abyss. Every game is absolute agony with an offense so flaccid and shriveled the appendage is about to break off. If that isn't enough, you'll get to see the worst run defense this team has featured in decades. Logic should point to them being bodied in the early game. But the Steelers threw all of their attribute points into the luck category. The cockroach will somehow fall headfirst into success because the NFL will rig it for them and nothing makes any sense. Captain Fatfuck may be dragged as his body's disintegrating into ash, but as the Lord is my witness, he will be carried by TJ Watt and company to his grave. Yes, this team should be getting ass blasted by Kansas City, and it's probably the worst case scenario for them, but have you considered that the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl? Thank God I no longer have to pretend this shitty team's going to the Super Bowl. The sad part is, if the Steelers have any semblance of an offense, they have a chance to win this game. They got the splash plays they needed. The defense played out of its mind for a quarter and change, but Big Ben is absolutely cooked. His body is crying uncle, and they could do jack shit with endless opportunity. Kansas City adjusts, and the defense runs out of gas. False hope's dead in 5 minutes. Pittsburgh is literally in the worst case scenario. They'll pretend that nothing is wrong since they fluked into a playoff berth, yet have no contingency plan for life after Ben. Kevin Colbert is probably retiring as well, along with more than a few free agents leaving for greener pastures. Perpetual mediocrity has been the standard, and will be for a while to come. Big Ben in a blaze of glory goes out in a way fitting of him, throwing 5-yard ducks to receivers and padding his stats in garbage time. Don't worry, they can still go to the Super Bowl. They'll just have to buy tickets.